Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 18 of Season 5 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yes, today we're here back ready for the Japanese Grand Prix. Obviously, if you guys missed out on the last race from Russia, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. As well as obviously, if you guys do want to enjoy, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed. I know I do say it a lot in these intros, but we are trying to get towards 15,000 subscribers. So obviously, if you are enjoying the F1 2020 content, make sure you do get yourself subscribed. As well as, hopefully tomorrow, we will have a brand new series coming that should be replacing obviously the McLaren RTG career mode that finished off at the end of last week. Yeah, it seems a bit weird to only have one F1 series going on the channel at the moment. And I mean, this one, there could be major championship implications here today. We could theoretically have wrapped up the title last time out in the Russian Grand Prix. This time, though, as we head to Japan, things looking a whole lot more likely. The gap at the top now, 100 points to George Russell there in P2. So basically today, if we outscore George Russell by 4 points, we are world champion. If we win the Grand Prix, it's over. It's done. It is officially just between myself and George, obviously our Season 3 teammate. Pierre Gasly cannot close up the gap quick enough now to try and get himself in the title battle there. And I mean, Verstappen down in 4th has, yeah, just had a terrible second half of the World Championship. But yeah, let's head then to Suzuka, an iconic track that's decided championships in the past. Two titans of Mercedes and 212 Motorsport going at it. Can George Russell cling on as we head towards North America next time? Qualifying day for the Japanese Grand Prix, and it's a very damp looking Suzuka circuit ready in Q2. I'll be honest, probably therefore maybe the worst combo possible for us on F1 2020. We are just not good at this track in the rain, especially the AI just seem to be able to find something else that is just impossible for me to be able to get close to around this circuit. We did end up, despite saying that, going fastest in Q1, but that was because the track got dry towards the end and we were one of the last cars out on a lap. The only real surprise, though, I think, was both Alfa Romeos getting through, Albon out in Q1, and I think the same can be said for Lance Stroll as well in his racing point. But anyways, we head down through the first sector, though. Not been so bad so far. Just trying to keep it nice and tidy, make sure we get a good banker lap on the board. We can see even there, we're still 3/10 down on Lewis Hamilton in his Ferrari there, and bearing in mind, that is not as strong a combo as it may sound on paper, of course, in the My Team universe. Let's just try and get the second half of the lap hooked up nice and tidily as we head through the hairpin. That's a lot of oversteer on the exit, but trying to just dance on the pedals. Heading down in towards 130R then. How far down on Hamilton are we going to be, if any? Yeah, we're 2/10 down still on Lewis. 130R is not flat. Holy moly, how on earth do we hold on to that? That was a rather large wobble. A bit of curb through the Casio triangle, though, as we head out of the final turn. It's not going to be a particularly great banker, but it is going to be a banker on the board nonetheless. A 34-0. A 10th off Lando Norris, who's in 11th, but will definitely have to go out again. Right, heading back out then in Q2. We've got about 25 seconds left on the clock as we're going to get ready to start our final lap of the session. Track is still definitely a bit slippery, and of course there's a little bit of drizzle as well, so hopefully that little bit of rain can actually keep the tyres temperatures down as we head in towards the first corner. Already a long way up on our PB, and there's definitely a lot more grip now, so I think it's going to be one of those sessions where you've got to be one of the last cars on to a lap, and hopefully for us, by the looks of it, I don't think many other cars are going to be doing so. So we head through the S's all nice and tidily. I say that, we're actually losing a bit of ground again to our previous lap. We're actually down as we head out of the first sector, so have we left it just a little too late at the end of qualifying here? A huge oversteer moment as we head up towards the top of the hill, and that's not going to help us either. Dipping a wheel into the gravel through the first Degners, and yeah, the track's too dry. We've completely messed up the timing for our second lap here. I wonder if the track was too dry, to be honest, on our first lap as well. I don't think we'd be able to go out on the dries. It would just be still too damp for that. But that's going to be us out in Q2 here for the Japanese Grand Prix. So if we want to beat George Russell, we are going to need an absolute miracle coming into this weekend. So there we go then, official confirmation out in Q2 for the Japanese Grand Prix there. Lando, Lewis and myself, as well as, of course, Raikkonen. And you can see the two Alfa Romeos as well are out at the end of the second session. We've got Max Verstappen, our teammate, Bottas and George Russell, who was fastest at the end of Q2. So yeah, like I said, we're going to need a miracle if we want to win this race tomorrow. 2 chances now. Things aren't looking great at the moment, but again, we've got a lot of time to try and wrap it up, obviously, as we head towards Kota next time out. Let's dive in then here for the Japanese Grand Prix.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles, and it's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 racetrack. The drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula One calendar. And keep an eye out for overtakes going into the final chicane. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. They're starting towards the back of the field today in a car that is fast. So they'll be disappointed, won't they?
They'll have a sinking feeling as they look up from the cockpit and realise they're in a different postcode to the start line for sure. But the one positive they can hold on to is that the car is quick and they can make their way through the field.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Kvyat, Lance Stroll and Ocon, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz and Lando Norris, Hamilton, Mr. Monaco, Max Verstappen and Raikkonen, King, Joe, Nicholas Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi, Albon, De Vries, Magnussen and Nobuharu Matsushita. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching.
I hadn't even considered that before we dived into the Japanese Grand Prix this weekend. Of course, it is the home of Honda in what, I mean, theoretically now in this alternate universe, 2024. Maybe the last year we see Honda Power, I think. Obviously, it'll be rebranded to Red Bull by then, but yeah, we won't worry too much about that. But yeah, we do want a good race then, obviously, of course, for the Honda Power in the back of the car. Race strategies looking like softs to hards. Don't think that's going to be the way we're going to go. We'll definitely try and do soft medium if we can, but the potential of some drizzle towards the end could make things very, very spicy over the course of the Japanese Grand Prix here today. But yeah, hopefully we can have a good clean race, try and make some moves up early on, try and sneak our way up the order. If you remember the McLaren RTG race we had here a couple of weeks ago, we actually had one of the best starts I think I've had on F1 2020. But yeah, we do start P12 though, ready for this one as well. We have moved up 1 spot ahead of someone there. But yeah, let's get ready then to start this Grand Prix. Round 17 of the season. We got 5 red lights. And it is lights out, and away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix. Again, off to a fairly decent little start as we head down in towards turn 1. Very, very easy to pick up some damage, so we'll be nice and easy here. We've got nothing to gain and everything to lose at the start of the Japanese Grand Prix. It was actually our teammate Verstappen with grid penalties there. I hadn't spotted that one. As we head down through turn 2 and turn 3 there, Verstappen's completely sold us, though, through the first sector there. Really good move by our teammates, so perhaps we're going to have to work together in this Grand Prix to try and sneak our way up the order there, and makes it very easy for Mercedes. But saying that, AlphaTauri have split them at the start of the Grand Prix. I'm going to assume that's Gasly that's got between them at the start here at Suzuka as we head out of the first sector though. Can we do something on our teammate Verstappen? We can accidentally. We'll have a look at the inside of Hamilton as well there. Like I said, that wasn't a move I had in mind through there, but everyone just concertinaing up so early in towards the hairpin. We'll make the move work on our teammate Verstappen. Can we get a run on Hamilton down in towards Spoon as well? We'll have a look up the inside, obviously, where I think there's Sebastian Vettel and Verstappen had contact a couple of years ago. But there we go. I think Verstappen's going to look past him as well, so a cheeky double overtake for the 212 Motorsport cars there as Hamilton starts to slip backwards at the start of this race. Ferrari certainly aren't a team they once were, even in this series at this stage of the game. But as we come towards the end of lap 1, all over the back of Lando Norris, who's actually taken the gamble on the medium tyres there. George Russell, though, leads the way at the end of lap 1. I'm sure Mercedes will be telling Bottas, get into P2 and then hold station in this Grand Prix. But it's looking good for them at the moment to at least drag this battle on for another week. A little bit more Constantine run up as we head through the hairpin. Can we get a good run on Lando Norris here out onto the next straightaway? Seems weird actually racing a McLaren again. I haven't often had battles with McLaren over the course of this series as we head down towards Sector 3 on the exit of Spoon. Just clip the inside curve there. That does not give us the best run as we head out onto the back straight. Well, I guess you could call it the back straightaway here at Suzuka, but that McLaren is not slow down the straight. So we are running quite a lot of aero this weekend as well. Can we get closer to potentially think about going for a send? We'll go for a big brave move, and we will sneak up the inside of Lando Norris there. Like I said, a rather aggressive one at the end of lap 2, but clearly we've got a little bit too much aero. Obviously I kept on from qualifying yesterday. Is he going to be able to come back at us? I don't think he is. Down in towards turn 1. So we might have to try and take one off the front wing when the pit stops roll round. Ferrari certainly don't have the same sort of straight line speed as McLaren do around this Suzuka racetrack, as we now finally have caught up to the back of Charles Leclerc. You can definitely tell, a bit like real life, the midfield don't have that big a deficit to the front teams anymore in this series. But are we going to be able to get a run on Charles as we head back down in towards the final couple of corners? Again, we are gaining in on the Ferrari man, but are we going to be close enough? I don't think we are this time round, or I thought about it. Maybe we could have sent it there, but on the other hand, Charles Leclerc might have turned in on me out of the final corner. Can we get a good run? Make sure we don't use all of the overtake before we get to the start-finish line. Can we get a run down in towards the first corner? Gonna have to be a brave old move. No, not going for that. And Charles Leclerc was definitely not going to give us the room either. As you can see, just absolutely turned into the corner, 100% committed. And that could have been a Senna Prost crash if we tried to keep the nose in. We are definitely starting to see a bit of a battle pack forming at this stage of the Grand Prix. 5 different cars from 5 different teams at this stage of the day. Is nice strats from the team. That is absolutely revolutionary there. Rather than pitting on lap 11, they've gone with the crazy idea of pitting on lap 11. Love that, Jeff. Sometimes it's little things like that that hopefully F1 2021 gets sorted. But anyway, can we get another run on Charles Leclerc then? We are slightly closer as we head out onto the back straight. Stroll is struggling. Actually, he's under some pressure from Carlos Sainz up the road. Can we go for something on Charles Leclerc though? Yes, we can. We'll have a look at the inside. Leclerc locks up, does spot us there. And we do slot in front as we head out on the final corner there through the Casio Triangle. Now is Stroll going to be able to get a run back on Carlos Sainz as we're going to get a cheeky double slipstream from the pair of them down in towards turn 1. Almost make it 3 wide. We'll have a look at the inside of Carlos Sainz, who tries to turn in. And we were quite clearly there, and we have been able to use that to our advantage. Up into 8th place of the Japanese Grand Prix. We haven't made as quick progress as I'd like to have done, but actually looking at it, Pierre Gasly now up into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. So that is fantastic by the AlphaTauri, unless of course the Mercs are on the mediums. Stroll with no slipstream surely is going to be a much easier target now in this Grand Prix. The Racing Point, yeah, he's not even going to go defensive on us. I think he knows this isn't a battle he wants to get himself involved in up the inside before we even get through 130R. A bit extreme for a warning, I'll be honest, Codemasters, so we need to be careful with that throughout the rest of the Grand Prix. Don't want a repeat of Russia last time out, where obviously we got a penalty for the pit lane entry. But yeah, 2 seconds to Perez up the road though. We should hopefully be able to close in a bit quicker. Oh, Perez into the pits at the end of lap 9 there, a little bit earlier I was expecting from him, as Gasly's going on to mediums for the second half of the Grand Prix. So that means Danny Kvyat must have actually been the one in the lead. I know we always talk about Pierre Gasly, but what a storyline that would be. What a storyline that would be if it's Danny Kvyat that ends up taking AlphaTauri's first win. Well, not in real life as such, but obviously in this game, Pierre Gasly never won, obviously, the 2020 Italian Grand Prix. But yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely critical to Danny Kvyat's career. Obviously never taken a Formula 1 race victory in either this or the real world, let's not forget. But AlphaTauri have shown some really good pace some weeks. I'm sure they do not want to let it go to waste once more, as Russell is on softs, and he's down to 3rd as well. So not all plain sailing for George Russell so far this race. I still want to believe there's a chance. There we go, Russell and, who was that? Yeah, Danny Kvyat into the pits, of course. Sorry, no, Bottas even, I should say, into the pits. So he's gone on to a set of hard tyres as well there. So if those guys all use the hards, we should have quite a big pace advantage in the second half of the Grand Prix. The softs are still hanging in there quite nicely at the moment. Might be able to try and get them an extra lap in this stint if possible. If we can get them to the end of lap 12, obviously take the mediums 15 laps. That seems pretty plausible in this Grand Prix, but we'll wait and see as to how they hang on. So I think, there we go. George Russell is into the pit lane. The same cannot be said for Esteban Ocon, who decides to go another lap further in this Grand Prix. So Ocon is going to inherit the lead there. And yeah, Russell onto a set of hards as well. So this is potentially shaping up perfectly for us in the second half of this Grand Prix to try and get ourselves towards the front of the field here. At least give ourselves a shot at battling at the front. But again, we need to keep it cool, calm and collected. We will definitely be in at the end of this one. These tyres, although still good, I don't think have quite got the same grip as the mediums will give us. Heading into the pit lane then. Yeah, Ocon does finally dive it in. We're going to do the same. Make sure we get it, nice and tidy on the way into the pits. Not leaving much on the table there, as unfortunately we're not going to hold Ocon. But he's not really going to gain much on us anyway. But obviously, remember as well, we've got to change the front wing angle slightly. I have lowered it to 4 on this pit stop, so we probably are going to lose a little bit of time. No, 2.2. Oh, we do get held up behind Ocon, though. Weren't really close to him on the exit of the pit lane, but as long as we start ahead now of Sergio Perez, I won't be too disappointed. Yes, we do, as we head back down in towards turn 1. So we are up now, I think, into a net 6th place of this Grand Prix, but myself and Ocon should absolutely fly in the second half of this GP. Oh my god, Ocon! Ugh! What on earth is that from the Red Bull man? I've just watched his engine explode right in front of us at the end of lap 13 there, so he was going to be quite difficult to navigate in this Grand Prix. The heartbreak for Esteban Ocon out of the Japanese Grand Prix there, and we've got a safety car. Probably not worth pitting for us, but this could be huge in this Grand Prix. I was going to say, actually, this would be the perfect time for us to get a safety car, bunch us up with those Mercs and those Alpha Tauris. Has Esteban Ocon potentially just put us in a championship winning position? I'm also intrigued to see whether either of the Alpha Tauris or Mercs see us on the mediums and think it's worth taking the gamble, pitting in, maybe coming out behind us, and potentially Perez there, as Latifi is up to 7th place in this Grand Prix. It's not quite the world he had. I can't remember which race that was in. I think it was Singapore, wasn't it? Where he managed to get himself up into 2nd place, I think, at one point. But Latifi experiencing all the highs that Formula 1 has to offer at the moment. Shame it's mid-race, not lap 26. Anyway, we now have hopefully got rid of the Delta, and now we can try and latch onto the back of those top 4.
Expect to see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
I completely forgot about that as well. How could that change the shape of this Grand Prix? Rain is still expected in 10 to 15 minutes, so that, I mean, with the safety car laps included, probably going to be sort of lap 23, lap 24. Could that spice things up towards the end? Or could it give us an even bigger advantage on the softer tyres? It really is uncharted territory for AlphaTauri at the moment. A 1-2 with 10 laps to go here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Safety car is coming in at the end of this one, but we are going to be quick behind them. Obviously, we only would need P3. If Russell finishes 5th, 3rd place would do it for us, and we would obviously become a 4-time world champion here today. But of course, I want to try and win this from 12th on the grid. Can we try and get a good run out of the final corners? Can we try and guess when the field is going to accelerate? We have got a pretty decent run, actually, saying that. Look at that, we are straight on the attack on George Russell here as we head down towards turn 1 there. The Mercedes, though, still very, very quick in a straight line, and we have to back out of that one again. George Russell, no, he locks up. Oh, we tried to get the nose up the inside in the second part there, but again, Russell having absolutely none of it, and potentially championship-defining contact there between myself and the Mercedes man, but I think we've both got off of that somehow scot-free in that moment. But yeah, we gave it a good go off the restart here, but now we need to settle down, really try and use these soft tyres, or these softer tyres even, I should say, to their advantage, and hopefully wait for the rain to come. Always difficult to predict when the rain is going to arrive here at Suzuka, but the team is saying actually now they reckon it's going to be about 15 minutes away again, so we might not see any. We might just get a little bit on the final lap of the Grand Prix, but having a look then closing in on George Russell in towards the Casio Triangle. The Mercedes man doesn't even go defensive, locks up on the way in, but we get the move pulled off, and we're up at a P4 of this Japanese Grand Prix there, ahead, somehow ahead of our championship rival, George Russell. Obviously, if it was a finish like this, we wouldn't be world champion just yet. We need to try and score 1 point in the final races of the season there. And yeah, now Bottas must be on the radio from the team going, you do anything within your power to not let that 212 Motorsport car past you. Bottas could be out of a seat if he lets us past. Getting all over the back of Mercedes. Bottas out of the final corner. Can we get a good run up towards the start-finish line to maybe go for something? There we go, new fast lap of the Grand Prix. So now, if things were to finish as they were, we would officially be crowned world champion. The fastest lap point. We've always spoke about it in this series, potentially defining Grand Prix and championships, but today it could actually have a real effect at the end of the season there. The gap now will be 104 points between myself and Russell, and with 4 Grand Prix to go, he would have to win all of them with fastest lap to mathematically tie with us, and I think even then, we would take it on countback, if I'm not mistaken, at this stage of the season. But I mean, hopefully, we can still try and challenge to try and get on the podium at the very least. I would like to get it properly done here today, and of course I'd love to do it. I'd still love to win this, but Gasly slowly pulling away at the moment as we get a little bit closer to Bottas out of the hairpin. Try and get a good run down in towards Spoon, maybe. Can we get just a bit closer? You can see the Merc sparking away just in front of us. Not quite close enough to go for anything this time around on the way in. But can we get a good run and maybe look for a run on the way out of the corner? Obviously, Bottas still getting a little slipstream from Danny Kvyat in front of him. We're going to try and use all of our KERS, or ERS even, I should say. That's an old school one. As we head down in towards 130R there, try and use a splash on the exit as well. And up the inside we go, pull out at the last minute. And up the inside of Valtteri Bottas we go in this Japanese Grand Prix. And now we are in championship winning territory once again. Gasly's taking the fastest lap back away from me though at this stage of the day. So Gasly's not done with this just yet. He wants this win for AlphaTauri. They still 1-2 at the moment, but now Kvyat is got to try and soak up some pressure from myself. 7 laps to go here from Suzuka, and it is all getting heated. Suzuka's definitely starting to get a bit more overcast as we head on to lap 22 of 27 here of the Grand Prix. Can we get a run though on Danny Kvyat? Pierre Gasly still romping away at the front, but up the inside of Kvyat we go back in towards turn 1, and we are now up into P2 of this Japanese Grand Prix. Gasly's got 2 seconds up the road. We've got 6 laps to try and close this gap down. Is it going to be doable by the end? Gasly's looking quick, I must admit. AlphaTauri, they've built a package this weekend, and a very, very quick car they've had underneath them. But is it going to be enough at the end of the day, or can we try and win to get ourselves our 4th world title? There we go, new fast lap again of the Grand Prix. We are just trading them with Pierre Gasly at the moment. We've only taken about a 10th out of him that lap though. Obviously, we did have to pull off the move on Danny Kvyat. We can basically leave the car on rich revs to the end as well, so I won't have to worry about that. But Gasly is still absolutely flying at this stage of the day. But again, the track's still getting more and more overcast. Could we see just a little spit of drizzle at the end that could just be one final twist in this tail? Well, 3 laps to go then here from Suzuka, and the gap's still hovering at about the 2-second mark to Pierre Gasly up the road. It's one of those things where when we get it nailed, we can take a little bit of time out of him, but any tiny mistake, Gasly is just on it towards the end of the race there, and it's things like that. We cannot afford another mistake like that in this Grand Prix. If we end up on the grass, we're probably going to end up finding ourselves an Armco barrier around this circuit. So I think, to be honest, unless something catastrophic now happens to Pierre Gasly, which I would not want to wish against the young Frenchman in AlphaTauri this weekend, they might be rewriting the wrongs that we saw earlier on this season in Baku. Could today finally be AlphaTauri's day? Oh, there we go, a little bit of drizzle starting to fall now on this Suzuka circuit with just a lap to go. I don't think, unless it's an absolute thunderstorm, it's going to make much difference here, but 1 to go. Are we going to see Gasly potentially make a little bit of a slip up? I think he's looking still pretty good, to be honest. Well, final lap then here of Suzuka, and potentially what is going to be a very defining day for a lot of people in the world of Formula 1. AlphaTauri, the only midfield team yet to win a Grand Prix in this series. We've had 8 different teams win races. Obviously, we've won, Mercedes have won, Ferrari have won, Red Bull have won. McLaren got that 1 win back in Season 1. Renault got a 1 win back in Season 2. Holy moly. How on earth did we hold on to that? We've got to go defensive now on Danny Kvyat. Racing point of won a Grand Prix, obviously, with Sergio Perez. Back, I think it was Canada Season 4, perhaps, or it might have been Season 2 as well, actually, saying that. And it just leaves AlphaTauri of the midfield runners, who is still yet to score a race win. But Pierre Gasly today, in quite possibly the best track they could have done it at as well, for Honda Power as well. It's going to be a Honda Power 1, 2, 3, as long as we don't bin it once more on the final lap of this Grand Prix. But Gasly has looked control on race day once he was able to get past the Mercs there. He's romped away 5 seconds clear at the end of the day. It's going to be a win on the track for Honda today. It's going to be a championship as well. I think for the first time for Honda Power since, what, 1990? 1989? It's been a long time coming. As we head through the final corners, though, we are going to equal Sebastian Vettel and Alain Prost in joining the 4 World Championships club. And that is how you do it here at Suzuka.
Fantastic drive, and it means your driver's world champion. What a result. Enjoy it.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and the new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. They've done it then, here at Suzuka. A brilliant win on this beloved figure-of-8 circuit. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
That lead at the top of the table has shrunk somewhat today. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
Let's move on to the constructors. The current championship leaders still hold top spot, but that gap is getting smaller. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
Well, there we are then, guys. The end of the Japanese Grand Prix, and like we said, quite a historical day in the world of Formula 1. AlphaTauri, for the first time, are on top here with, of course, Pierre Gasly, just like he did in real life. I think it's only fitting that Pierre gets that win once more for the team. It's a Honda 1-2-3, like we said, the first Honda World Championship as well, since I think, 1990, if I'm not mistaken. It might be 91, actually, in saying that, but it's been a long time coming for the Japanese engine manufacturer as well. But it is Gasly who wins ahead of myself there. Kvyat finally gets on the podium as well. Don't think... No, he's had a couple of podiums, I think, this year, if I'm not mistaken there. Bottas and George Russell 4th and 5th. I'm sure gutted with that from 1st and 2nd on the grid there. Just didn't have the race pace, unfortunately, or the right strategy choice there. Perez in 6th for Renault ahead of Lando, Stroll, Verstappen, our teammate, 13th to 9th. And then Charles Leclerc getting up a single point for Ferrari as well. There you can see the rest of your finishers. Only Esteban Ocon not making it to the flag there. And I mean, when you consider we've got Honda 1-2-3, Albon in 15th and Ocon not even making it to the end. Mixed emotions, I'm sure, at the end of the day there. But championship-wise, though, the gap 109 with 104 available. It's done. It's dusted. And just like with the McLaren RTG, therefore, we will be starting the last few Grand Prix from the very back. Very much looking forward to doing that as well, though. The gap between Russell and Gasly, of course, comes down as well. 20 points between them. Could Gasly pull out the upset and finish P2 in the Drivers' World Championship? That would be absolute scenes to see at the end of the day there. The only swappers, though, Perez gets to jump on Sainz, Lando gets to jump on Lewis as well. There's, I think, well, with the exception of Jordan King, Lewis Hamilton now, not the worst British driver, but the lowest ranking British driver in Formula 1, obviously, with the exception of Jordan there. Constructors-wise, though, still is open. There's, 176 points available still, so it is just a 2-horse race between ourselves and Mercedes for the Constructors' crown, but hopefully, of course, we can wrap that up in the next couple of weeks. No movers, though. As you can see, Red Bull still in 4th ahead of Racing Point there. Renault, McLaren and Ferrari still potentially with a bit of room to swap around as well there. But thank you all so much for watching this video, and of course, as always, the continued support on this My Team career mode. 114 episodes in, it still is mind-blowing to see just how many of you guys do still come round and watch these videos. But yeah, we'll be back, like I said, hopefully tomorrow with a brand new series. You guys definitely want to get yourself subscribed for that, and maybe, just maybe, very, very soon, with round 19 of the season, where we head to the US Grand Prix. The pressure is off, we can have some fun. Hopefully, I'll see you guys very soon with more Formula 1 content. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.